Oh, good. You've got a few questions, but not too many. So I think a couple of people coming in, so wait for that. And then the plan for this afternoon is to do the questions at about 3:30, 3:45, and then have a break, and then we do the loving kindness meditation. Finish around 4:30. Is that okay? Yes. Very good. Okay. I think all the very important people are in now. When I say that, somebody else comes in and gets offended. So anyway, here we go. Dear Ajahn, I don't know what jhana is like, but appreciating the nature around here and your teaching has already given me great joy. I ask and want no more. Thanks for everything you have done. Awesome. It's excellent, because little by little, you talk about everything from the beginnings to the endings of this path and everything which comes in. It is a happy path. It gets happier and happier as you practice more and more joy, and eventually the joy just comes into these deep states of mind, and you'll be surprised that sometimes you're not expecting it, and these things just happen. My lights in the mind and nimittas and stuff, but you don't really need to know what it is like, because eventually it just happens. And at least, that's what Ajahn Brahm meant. Next, how to deal with our loved ones' sufferings. For example, to see someone you care about is facing a serious sickness, etc. And first of all, that it's hard to face one's own sufferings in life. But if you learn from your own sufferings of what sickness really is and how to deal with your own sickness. So from time to time, if you are really sick, I don't want to be sick, I've got many things to do. But first of all, you realize that sickness is part of life, which is one of the reasons I try not to stigmatize sickness. And I think I mentioned on one of the first talks, when you ever go to see the doctors, you should never, ever, 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 ever say to the doctor, "Doctor, there's something wrong with me, I'm sick." They're already stigmatized. There's nothing wrong with being sick. We're all sick from time to time. It's part of life. It's usual. And in case that anyone never, ever, ever, ever got sick in their whole life, you'd be such a weird case. You spend a lot of your days in hospitals when they do tests on you to try and figure out what's wrong with you that you don't get sick. The point being that it's obvious that being sick is nothing wrong. So when you see the GP, you'd always say to them, or the specialist, "Doctor, there's something right with me. I'm sick again." In other words, you take off the negativity around sickness. It's part of life. And so even by doing that much, straight away you're lessening the sting of sickness. Because that's what the Buddha said, even though your body is sick, doesn't mean the mind is sick. And if you can just balance your mind and be wise that sometimes you're supposed to be sick, you're hurting, but you've got such a wonderful attitude to it, the mind is happy, which means your sickness doesn't last that long. That you all know just the power of happiness and kindness to overcome such pain. So once you learn from your own suffering, then you can actually look at someone you care about who's also facing serious sickness. And you don't add to their sickness by going, "Oh, that's terrible. Oh, I hope you get better soon." Oh, instead, you can try what we've been doing for a long time, is when someone is really sick, like this man, he was a monk, and he was a Rhodes Scholar, and he was a monk with us, and we didn't know exactly what it was at the time, but it was actually two strains of typhoid at the same time, and he got really, really sick and very close to dying. But he was so close to dying, he pulled through, but he never really got better. And so we sent him to the monastery in England and trying to get the best treatments, all types of treatments, the usual allopathy, homeopathy, radiation therapy, all the sorts of pathies, including naturopathy and psychopathy, and no, we didn't do psychopathy, that's psychopathic. But all types, but nothing worked. And then one day, because I went to go and see him once, and he was in the attic of the Chithurst Monastery, this old house. And in the attic, if you ever read books like Jane Austen, that's where they put the crazy people, up in the attic, so lock the door. And this was, a monk was up in the attic, and it was really dark. He could never really get out of bed and go to the door because he got exhausted. He was there for a couple of years, just really, really sick, and nothing was working. Best doctors, but no one knew what to do until one day the head monk came in there and he said to him, I've come up here on behalf of all the monks and nuns in this monastery, on behalf of all the supporters, all the people who know you and love you and care for you, on behalf of all of those, I've come up here to give you permission to die. You don't have to try so hard to get better. It's okay to die. At which point, that monk, he's at Rhodes School, he's a champion wrestler. He burst out crying, he wept, and from that day on, he got better. And he's still alive today. He did disrobe, but he's still alive. He lives in South Africa. And it's like 20, 30 years ago. He was trying so hard to get better because he didn't want to disappoint the people who cared for him and put so many resources in trying to bring him to good health. He didn't want to disappoint them at all. He was trying so hard to get better, it was making him sick. If you can understand that. It's your loved ones. If you're really sick, it's you see them coming into your room and they're so devastated with seeing how weak you are and how thin you are. You're not the same person as they knew before. Oh, they're just emotionally distraught to see you getting closer and closer to death. And then you see them, you're dying, and it's hard enough to deal with your own sickness and impending death. And now you have to deal with the emotional problems of your loved ones as well. And so it's trying so hard not to disappoint. People are spending so much money and so many resources trying to get you to feel better. That pressure is one of the causes of sickness. And it's happened many times since then. People are very sick and you say, it's okay, we give you permission to die. You don't mean it as a joke. You don't mean it just to get rid of them so you can inherit your inheritance. You do it really so, look, it's okay to die. It's part of our life, so don't try so hard to please us. We will love you no matter what happens, and we will always care for you. But it's okay to die. And when they hear that, there's a sense of great freedom. They try so hard to get better. And they feel so disappointed, to the point that when you go and see them, you always ask them, how are you feeling today? Are you feeling better? And I'm feeling a little bit better. You lie. Because you're lying there because you're telling an untruth because you don't want to disappoint your friends and loved ones who've come such a long way, taken time off their busy schedule, taking time off work, and they go and see you, and the pressure's on you to get better, to please them, to say, oh, please get well soon. And you don't. In other words, you're disappointing the people who really care about you. That pressure, psychological pressure, is one of the reasons people stay sick. So when a person is suffering, you can go to them, just visit them is good. But for goodness sake, never ask them, how are you feeling today? Because if they're honest, they'll say, I feel terrible. That's why I'm in hospital. So instead of trying to make them live up to your expectations and get better, you just say, we love you. Tell them all of the stories which are happening in the world, what you've been up to. Always talk to people who are in hospital as if you were talking to them at a coffee shop. So you don't talk to the sickness, you talk to the person. And that's one great way of dealing with your loved one's sufferings. It really fits into that professor of schizophrenia who never treats schizophrenia in Singapore, treats the other part of the patient. So you see a person really sort of sick and suffering in your family, look at the other part of that person, which isn't suffering. There's another part to them as well. Maybe they don't see that themselves. They're so consumed with their sickness, they don't see the other part of them. So anyway, that's one way to deal with it. Dear Ajahn, one of your greatest sayings is to put down a cup or put down a glass. Often I tried it, but mostly I can't put things aside. Either I want to solve it directly or just throw it away. What to do and how to train my mind. Okay, that put down a cup, so just take a rest for a little while. That's also part of that, part of this idea is that story which is in that first book, The Good, Bad, Who Knows, which I haven't said on this retreat so far, and that is about the British soldier in the jungles of Burma during the Second World War. I think some of you know that story, I hope. And this was told to me by the person himself. He was a young man, and when he joined up, he didn't really have much choice. Everybody had to join up during that Second World War and become a soldier or do something. And so he was sent to Burma. He wasn't a violent man, but he was just on a patrol in the jungle somewhere, and with a group of about 5 or 6 other soldiers, when the news came in that they'd wandered into a whole battalion almost, a huge number of Japanese troops. They were totally surrounded and outnumbered. Now imagine this is war. Imagine if that was you, how scary that would be. This is it. You're not going to get out of this situation. And so this young man, and as I've heard this before, no one ever can predict who the hero will be. Even these big tough guys who've trained in the gym, when it gets to such a point their death is imminent, they just turn to jelly and they want to run. But this man, he wasn't very big, but he decided to be the hero. He said, let's fight our way out. Who knows? Maybe we can find a way through. But sitting here and doing nothing, that's certain death. And this was a long time before Bruce Willis and Die Hard started. But in real life, they'd have all been killed. So the captain knew that, so he ordered them, no, put down your guns. We will not fight our way out. And surrender was not an option. So instead, the captain ordered, you have to follow orders at war in an army. The order is you will all sit down and have a cup of tea. The British Army. Even at war, they have a tea break. That's crazy. And he thought, this is ridiculous, this is stupid. This is the most mad thing he'd ever done in his whole life. In the jungles of Burma, a long way from home, at war, totally outnumbered, about to be attacked by Japanese highly trained troops. Oh, having a cup of tea, who can think of having a cup of tea? But orders were orders, and so he had to sit down and have a cup of tea. And before they finished making the tea, the scout came back and said, put things away quickly. The enemy has moved. There's a way out. And of course, they all crawled quietly, silently, through the gap in the surrounding forces, which means every one of those soldiers escaped. That's why that man told me that story when I was a young school teacher in Devon. And I thought, wow, what a brilliant story that is. When there's nothing to do in life, Don't fight and try and figure out the problems. You get killed and make the things worse. You just sit down and have a cup of tea. If you don't like tea, just have a coffee. If you don't like coffee, a peppermint tea, or some orange juice, or longan juice, or anything. But just don't do anything, okay? Just sit down and relax to the max to keep your energies all ready. So when there is something to do, you pounce and you escape. And he told me that he had cancer later on in life, and again, there's nothing you could do, so he just relaxed. Nothing you can do, just take it easy. And of course, because he took it easy, relaxed, the tumours started to dissipate, or at least they got smaller. How many times is the tightness and the tension, because we get scared, we think we have to do something. How many times is that the real killer? So, put down a cup, when it's time to rest. Sit down and have a cup of tea when you're surrounded by death and disaster in all directions, there's no way out. That is a lot of wisdom. And it's not doing nothing. It's such a positive thing to do. You wait. You wait for the other person to make the mistake, the other team to make the mistake, and you're ready. And when it's time, then you can take advantage. So put down a cup or put down a glass. You tried it, but this is what happens. It's very heavy, you put it down, and before you're tired, before you recovered, you pick it up again. So it's just like those people, those soldiers, sitting down having a cup of tea, and they just sip the tea, and one goes out, has the enemy moved yet? And they go and get caught, bang. So we have to, when we let it go, we really have to let it go. Put it down and wait. The problem is impatience. We are such an impatient people wherever we go in this world. You see that when people are just waiting to board their flights. Have you ever noticed on an aircraft, because you're all probably going on an aircraft tomorrow, the people who get on the aircraft first are the people who want to get out of the aircraft first. And I can't imagine that. Doesn't make any sense. If you're like lining up trying to get in the first in the queue to get on the aircraft, it must mean you must like aircrafts. So you get on there first. And so, why don't those people who get on first, because they like it, get off last? As for me, it'd be much better to actually get on last. Get on the aircraft last, and then that means you don't spend so much time in the aircraft. It's no comment on the wonderful flight attendants which you meet on great airlines like Ehipassiko, but it's a comment that why is it people want to get on first and then get off first? They're just impatient. So anyway, that if you're patient, just let someone else get on first. After you, sir. And be so patient. And they will say, no, after you, madam. So, no, I insist, after you, sir. So, no, I insist. I'm a Buddhist, and I always let other people go first. So, after you, madam. And they say, no, I'm a Buddhist too. So, after you, sir. And that's why it takes forever to board passengers on a Buddhist airline. But anyway, that kindness is really, really nice. So anyway, that's what happens. Patience is also something we have to learn. And who was it who asked that question about what is patience? I'll answer it on the next retreat. With the advanced technology, how about cloning Ajahn Brahm? So the clone can go on a world teaching tour and the real one can continue to meditate and do what he needs to. Best of all, you will be eternal. What is your view on this? Yes, but you won't know who is the real Ajahn Brahm and who's not the real Ajahn. How would you know? So what would happen is, I want to go back in my cave and my clone's got the cave. So I don't know, and the clone misbehaves and tells wrong stories, and I'm the one who gets the blame. So, clones do not work. And being eternal, now honestly, do you want to hear the same old jokes 10, 20, 30, 40 years from now? The happiness you want to keep, but the material needs to be improved. I need a script writer, that's what I need. Anyway, so a nice idea. How have you helped Buddhists maintain harmony with other religions who believe in a God or creator? I already mentioned that when you change the idea of what a God is, or a creator is, to include people with different ideas. So you really try hard to actually to listen to another person and understand their language and actually just deal with their language. What was it that a friend I had who was quite a devout Christian, and he said to me, I think I already told that story, that, you know, Ajahn Brahm, you have to admit that nothing is better than God. I said, yeah, it's true. Nothing, emptiness, is much higher and better than any creator being. So that's really good. So nothing is emptiness. So of course they weren't very happy about that, but anyway. So we also have all these sort of other stories where Buddhists maintain harmony with religions who are different than you, see different than you. And there is the story of the 5 fingers in the hand, not the finger which is the best, but the fact that 5 fingers, especially this works in Indonesia, because you have the Panchasila, which doesn't mean the 5 Buddhist precepts, it means the 5 religions which are permitted in Indonesia. And so 5 fingers in a hand, and if one finger gets infected, you can't use the whole hand. So if one religion, say the 5 major religions in Indonesia, if one of those religions is suffering, you can't use the whole hand. The whole country suffers. Which is one of the reasons why it's a beautiful simile. All the 5 fingers of a hand, they're all different. But if one finger gets hurt, the other 4 have to look after it. And understanding that is how we can create harmony. It's in everybody's interest to have harmony. And this is a good one. How did you break the news to your mum that you want to become a monk? What was her reaction? Well, actually, my father's reaction was more interesting. Because when I wanted to become a monk, people often ask, "What did your father say?" I said, "Nothing." He died about 7 years early. I always have a sense of humour. Sometimes people think it's really stupid, macabre sense of humour. But anyway, I'm sure my father would have not minded that. So anyway, that I was on Friday night telling all the funeral jokes about the undertaker who was found wandering in the cemetery with the coffin. He'd lost the plot. Ha 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 ha. Okay. But you know that Buddhist monks, actually usually a lot of other ex-Buddhist monks or before they became monks, they actually were undertakers. And I imagine sort of, those, especially the Vipassana meditators, are so calm and peaceful and somber, they make really good undertakers. And so I know a lot of these undertakers, and because I do many, and there's this one monk, he's a monk over in Sydney. If any of you go to Sydney and go to Bodhinyana, that's over in Campbelltown, is the Venerable Harry. That was his name before. And he wrote a beautiful book of From Balmain to Buddha, because that's where he was brought up, in Balmain, really the roughest suburb of Sydney, when he was born. And he said, his opening line in his book, which I thought was a brilliant opener for his book, He said, if you still have your 2 front teeth by the time you're 4, it means you're a girl. They were fighting there all the time. But he also told that he got a job as an undertaker, and once he was actually called to collect the body, in one of these old apartment buildings in Sydney, on the top story. And because this was an apartment building, everybody knew each other, because there's only one elevator, one lift to go up and down, and only a small lift as well. So they always met one another, so they knew this gentleman in the top story had passed away. And so these 2 undertakers, and imagine just really somber in a black suit, went up there to collect the body. This is an absolutely true story, he told me. But how can you get the gurney, it's almost like a trolley, in such a small lift, such a small elevator? It just would not fit in. And he couldn't take them down the stairs. So they thought what to do. And so what they did, there was enough space, only just enough space in the elevator for 3 people standing. So the 2 funeral directors, undertakers, they were standing on either side of the edge of the lift with the dead man in between when they were holding him up, hoping that no one would interfere their journey going down to the ground floor where they could put them into the gurney and put him into the back of the van. And of course there is one Dhamma, it's not just the 4 Noble Truths, it's not dependent origination, it's not the law of karma, it's one which all religions agree on is fundamental to the way of this universe, and it is called Murphy's Law. You've heard of Murphy's Law? Yeah, if it can go wrong, it will go. And he told me there he was, just holding this dead fellow, he had one side, his friend had the other side in the middle of the lift. And halfway down, the lift started to decelerate. Somebody had pressed the button and they wanted to get in the elevator. Oh my goodness, what to do? And so, as the elevator doors opened, there was this little old woman, and what she saw, you could see her eyes go like dinner plates. The blood drained from her face. She saw these 2 severe, grey-looking men with this person she knew had died, was right between them. And he said he doesn't know how this happened, but they'd lost hold of this fellow, and the fellow started falling. Yeah, that's what happened. And this poor woman, she fainted away. She passed out. It's quite understandable. And she thought, oh my God, what should I do? So the only thing they could do was actually to pull this guy up again and go down, and they thought they'd have to go up to the 3rd floor to get another customer. But fortunately, when they got up there, she just was a bit shocked and a bit stressed, but gave her a cup of tea and she was fine again. So again, some of those things which happen in life, and I don't want to go over this. I'm not quite sure. This is supposed to be about different religions. Okay. Anyway, that he was full of. But another interesting story he said. Because he was from the Balmain was the port city, the port town in Sydney, so he spent a lot of his time in the merchant navy. And one of the other things which he said happened once, which was really weird. He said he was on watch on this merchant ship in the middle of some voyage somewhere, and they had to have the first officer, with him on duty that night. And they were just talking about all sorts of things, as you do, just passing the time. They had to be on watch. And then he said he saw some of the weirdest things he'd ever seen, this green light on the horizon. Never seen that before. And so the first mate and him were just talking, what on earth can this be? And as they were talking about this, he said, this is no joke. And I believe Harry, because he's a Buddhist monk, and sometimes that people do pull your leg, but this was a true case. He said, this green light immediately he just came whizzing over the ocean and hovered over the boat. He said it was such a strange thing that the first mate just went to the captain's cabin to try and wake the captain, which took a while, at which time the green light disappeared. And he said that occurred in the middle of the Bermuda Triangle. Ooh. Ooh. He said, no, honestly, he said that was absolutely true. It was one of the weirdest things he'd ever experienced. Anyway, how did you break the news to your mum that you want to become a monk? That's so serious, because my mother knew, the direction I was heading in life. And she also knew that I'd always been a very reliable, responsible young man, never getting into trouble, getting a good degree from Cambridge. And so if it didn't go well as a Buddhist monk, if I disrobed, she knew that I could come back and get a good job. It wasn't the end of the world. I was like 23 years old when I became a monk. So, you can always just disrobe and come back again. That was a wonderful thing about being a monk in the Theravada tradition, that you could disrobe any time. If you didn't like it, it wasn't for you, if you realized you made a mistake, you didn't lose any status, you always gained things, a lot of wisdom from what you learned as being a Buddhist monk, and some great friends. So it was always a win-win situation. Even now, after 45 years coming up as a Buddhist monk, I can leave any time. You only stay as a monk or as a nun because you're finding it useful and beneficial. And one of the worst things would be if you get a person who ordains as a monk when they're really young, and later on in life they feel they made a mistake. That's not really the journey they want to go. Because how can you really be sure when you're so young about the choices which you make? So because there's lots of freedom, to do something else in your life, that's why many people stay as monks. Because you can sort of leave, you don't want to. The psychology of it. Anyway, so I told my mum, I said, well, the chances are that, I would probably not last as a monk. Who knows? I told my mother, and she was obviously happy that I was happy. And that's, what many parents want. They want your children to be happy. She said the only thing she didn't like was I was going to become a monk on the other part of the world where she couldn't reach. She said, I'd have preferred if you were a monk next door. But she said, okay, I won't stand in your way. And of course, she had a lot of joy later on when she knew I was a monk and was very, very happy. So it was wonderful. And of course, I was telling people, because I became a monk, I had one brother, and don't ask me how many other brothers you did, how many brothers. I thought I'd get one of those questions this evening. People put on the question box, Ajahn Brahm, what does your mother and father do? How many brothers and sisters have you got? When I tell that story, I usually get those as questions. But anyway, when you do become a monk, it doesn't mean you abandon your family. Because there's this one monk, he's over in Canada, Ajahn Dhamma, and his mother got really, really sick, and had no one else to look after her. So he went to look after his mother for a month or two, and his mother started to getting a little bit better, but then when he planned to leave again, she got sick again. And so he stayed looking after his mother for about, 8 or 9 years? And he was his mother's carer. And he managed to keep all his rules. It was a bit of a stretch because I think his brother had an account at the local grocery shop. So this Ajahn V would actually go to the grocery shop and get the goods. So he never paid. It was all on the account for his brother set up. And go home and just cook the food for his mum and look after her. And he always thought that she was dying soon. Only another week or two to go. And that went on for years. But then afterwards, people were just so impressed that just because you become a monk doesn't mean you don't look after your parents. And he stayed, and that was the extreme. I've never seen anything as amazing as that. Looking after his mother for such a long time. And you could do that within the rules of Vinaya. And afterwards, when his mother did pass away, he took over the monastery in Canada and just did a wonderful job. I thought, just what an inspiring thing that is. That you can still do all of that and be a monk at the same time. What is the benefit and danger of hypnotic regression? Can it be inaccurate? Example, our mind makes its own imagination. Thank you. It really depends upon the skill of the hypnotist. Good hypnotists never give leading questions. And they just encourage you to explore, but it's really your journey. And you always see that in hypnotic regression, that usually that when you do get to very powerful experiences in life, it does come with like a huge emotion which you cannot imagine. And that emotional discharge, if you like, is a sign that what you're experiencing actually happened. And of course, there's much evidence now. You can go back and find out for yourself. You go back to the records and it's there. I do imagine I was born poor, and often I felt sad to see how depressed my mum is when she's struggling financially. Now I'm not poor anymore, but I still have insecurity and attachment to money. How to deal with this? Thank you. There's advantages and disadvantages of being poor. And one of the advantages is, you can live simply. You don't need so much to live a happy, peaceful life. So first of all, just think how much you need. And you go to a temple or a monastery, and sometimes you can live so simply, and you think, well, why do I feel insecure? I don't need very much. I've learnt from my experience of growing up and also my experience of just going to retreat centers or monastery, how little you need to live happily. And of course, the biggest security or insurance you can ever get is your family and friends. Because they'll always be there for you whenever there's any difficulty in your life. So it doesn't mean be your blood relationships. All the family in your community who've looked after you and you've looked after them, they're the ones you rely on in times of difficulty. And it's not the money. So as long as you're maybe poor in money, but as long as you have a very good social network, a very good sort of person, always kind and helping others, then of course, that law of karma will mean you never need to feel insecure. There's always many people look after you. As for me, I don't take insurance when I go off overseas. I don't need insurance. Because if I go to different countries, even to go to, say, Thailand, there's always monks hospitals. But I wouldn't need that. If I fell over and broke a leg in Thailand, people would be so overjoyed they could make some good karma looking after me. Same in Hong Kong. Imagine if I got sick in Hong Kong. How many doctors? No, me, please, I'll look after you. No, you looked after him last time, my turn. So, a lot of time, the kindness you've given others actually comes back to you in times of adversity. You know what real health insurance is. Do you think when people strictly keeping the precepts, they cannot be free? As long as they keep the 2 precepts, then they can be as free as anything. Never harming themselves, never harming another. But sometimes, the so-called strictly keeping precepts, the precepts make you relaxed. To the point that these days as a monk, what do I want to break any precepts for? Makes no sense to me. Keeping precepts, keeping restraint is freedom. So I always tell people, if you want to live a good life, be a good person. I am a good person, I think, so I have a good time. I'm a good time monk. Is it dangerous by being hopey, since it can lead to high expectations that brings disappointment? No, it doesn't need expectations. Hoping means anything can happen. So you hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And disappointment? Nah. If it's disappointing, it doesn't go your way, things don't go wrong, what is it? More dog poo for my long gantry. So either way, you win. So what's the alternative? You're being hopey, then you get disappointment. Of course, disappointments are parts of life, but also successes, happiness is also part of life. So the more hopey you are, the more the odds are of happiness, peace, and freedom. Imagine I said, you've been meditating here for how many days? And you haven't got jhanas or peace yet. You're a waste of time. You're hopeless. Imagine I said that. Then that would actually put a big barrier between you and any possibility of deep meditation. But you'd be hopey. When you're hopey, of course, eventually it happens. You're taking away the barrier which many people have these days of thinking, I can't do this. Yes, you can. As Mr. Obama famously said. He was a Buddhist, I'm sure. Yes, you can. How to respond to a judgmental husband is actually don't argue with him, agree with him. That totally undermines the pleasure he gets from being judgmental. Or what did I say the other day? A judgmental husband. Tell him that Ajahn Brahm said, the advice of a master to his student, never argue with an idiot. Do you agree with that? Are you calling me an idiot? You disrespect me. No, sometimes people are judgmental, but you just say, yes, dear, yes, dear, yes, dear. Because what that does, why are they being judgmental? And why does people discriminate and say, oh, you're like this, you're like that? And sometimes you say, yes, dear, because it's not, how could you judge anybody? It's nothing to do with you. It's just a person feels that they're, a lot of time in a relationship is because they're really upset. There's no happiness, things are going wrong in their day. And they usually try and take it out on people they love. Why? Because they think, you've been married together for such a long time, that you should realize your husband is not being critical of you. He's just being critical, he had a very busy day. Or difficulty in the business, or difficulty in the family. That's why it takes it out on you. So if you're a wife or a husband, when you're sort of your partner says rotten things and judgmental things about you, I had this story. Remember the story of the man who had the afternoon off work and went to buy the eggs from the market. Remember that story? Some nodding their head, some are already asleep. So, this particular husband had the afternoon off work. Wife said, darling, I need some eggs for the dinner tonight. So off he went, getting the eggs. Never been to the market before. Wife had to give him instructions and money and everything. Off he went with the basket to get some eggs. And as soon as he came into the market, this young man came up to him, almost nose to nose, and said, you are the ugliest person I've ever seen in my whole life. You are just so awful the way you look at your face looks. You've got a face like a back of a camel. And as for your smell, you're saying, when was the last time you washed? You smell like dog shit. Obviously, you're a terrible person. And much worse things than that, this young man said. And this husband never seen this guy in his life before, and he's being criticized and scolded and abused in public, in front of everybody in the marketplace. This was too much. And so the husband turned around and went home, really upset. And he went home and slammed the door And his wife said, you come back home early. Yeah, I never want to go to that stupid market ever again. It's a terrible place. People are just so uncivilized and uncouth. It's a terrible place. I don't know how you handle it. It's a rotten place. I never want to go there ever again. It's a bad place. It's terrible. And I remember doing that in Indonesia. And I got Paul, remember Tasfan? Yeah, I got Tasfan. Translate, please. Sometimes I tease my translators. But anyway, so the wife calmed him down and said, oh, it's him. That young man, when he was a boy, he fell over and he hit his head. He's got brain damage. That poor young man will never, ever go to school and get any degree or something. He'll never get a job. That poor young man will probably never find a nice girl to share his life with. He just hangs around the market. He abuses me much worse than that. He abuses everybody. That's just, he's crazy, he's brain damaged. So as soon as the husband realized he'd been shouted at and abused and cursed by someone who wasn't in their right mind, all his anger vanished. And so he just, his wife saw that and said, darling, I still need those eggs. And so, okay, darling. And so off he went, back into the market. And then this boy came up to him again and said, scolded him, here comes camel face, here comes dog poo, here comes all that. And he was scolded. This time it didn't matter at all. Because how can you worry about being criticized or judged by somebody who wasn't in the right mind? And he managed to buy those eggs, talked with the lady selling the eggs, and oh, poor young man, yeah, he fell over and he hit his head. What a sad thing that was. And the moral of that story is, if your husband comes home from work and he judges you and scolds you and gets angry at you, just assume he must have hit his head that day at work. Because anger is called temporary insanity. So you are mad to get angry at anybody. So that's the assumption. If they get scolded, oh darling, you hit your head again today. Anyway, it's only that's judgmental husbands. Why old monks will die due to illness if deep meditation is good to our health? Oh yeah, I know, but come on, give monks a break. They've got an old body. You know, if they are going to get reborn again, they get a much healthier body. You know, as I always said, look, if you've got an old, say freezer in your house, which takes a lot to maintain, how many people would keep an old freezer when they can just go off and recycle it and get a new modern one? You've got an old computer, you know, just one of those old computers, you know, from the 1990s or 2000. Would you like to keep that? No, just recycle it and get a new modern one, a small one on your iPhones or something. They're much more powerful. I remember at Cambridge, they just put in this multi-million-dollar new number cruncher in the mathematics department. They had to build a new building for it. And now, just these little iPhones, they can much, much more powerful computing power than these old huge things. So who wants to keep this old thing going? That's why. Who wants to keep an old monk going? Wouldn't it be better to get a new, improved model monk? Trade in the old one. So, old monks will die due to illness if deep meditation. Of course, it's good to your health. So you die peacefully, instead of moaning and groaning. So you say, oh, I've got a sickness, I'm going to die. The doctor says to you, you're going to die in a week. And the monk looks at the doctor and says, can you make it tomorrow, please? Not extend life, bring it on. Or just like reality, this Dr. Kesri Dhammananda, when he had cancer, and when he was told by his doctor there's nothing more they can do, his cancer is terminal, he's going to die. he burst out laughing. And I remember the doctor, I checked with the doctor because I go to Malaysia a lot, and he says, yeah, that happened. He's the only person I ever know. When he died, or just before he died, and the doctor said there's nothing more they can do, he's going to die soon. He burst out laughing. That's a monk's monk. Can you do that? The doctor says you're going to die. So you're going to die in a week. What would your reaction be? Would you say, like that one person said when he was told he was going to die in a week? He said, doctor, I don't think I can pay your bills in 1 week. Okay, I'll give you 2 weeks then. Or the other person who went to see the doctor, and he says, he said, how long have I got? And the doctor says, 10. And I said, 10 what? 10 weeks? 10 days? And the doctor says, 9, 8, 7, 6. That's terminal. So, the last question. Thank you, Ajahn Brahm, for your love and inspiration. You're a mega meta inspiration. Love you. Thank you very much. So that's the last question. So now is the time for a toilet break. And then you come back and we do the loving kindness guided meditation. So it's actually 5 to 4 now. So please come back by 10 past. Okay, is that okay? Okay, very good. So there's many toilets to go to. So if you're really desperate, the close ones are just round the corner. So already got a leader who's going to get to the ladies' toilets first. There's many others. So off you go. The race is on. On your marks, get set, go. Okay. Okay, and in the meantime, I don't get to go to the toilet. I just sign books. Here we go. That's one. The cat for you. Or your pen.
Can you go to Roberta?
Roberta, yeah. Roberta.
This is just signing.
Just signing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Okay.
Say thank you very much.
Yeah, okay. I hope you enjoyed. You can see that I thought it's always getting. While I'm recording, I always enjoy just teaching. I put a lot of fun into it. That really helps. Here we go.
Thank you, Ajahn.
Your pen. Very good. You want a photograph with the bears? Yeah, come on. I don't know what it is. We started off with just one or two bears. And I think during the gaps in the retreats, I don't know what the bears get up to, but there's always more the next retreat. Okay.
Getting our friend.
Yes, okay, yes. Very good. The three bears. Yay. Wow. The bears look happy. Very good. Okay. High five. Another bear. Ah, that's the dog.
The IKEA dog.
Yeah, IKEA dog, yeah. Okay. Very good. Okay, hold hands, yes, hold hands. That's harmony between species. Very good, okay. High five. Yeah. High five, high five, high five. Very good. Yeah, yeah. But what I see is all these happy bears all over the place. They look very well loved, so that's wonderful. Ah, yes, I could do that. Very good. A bit of paw prints. Good. For you.
Thank you.
Hello. Very good. Whoops. I always do a smiley face when I do signatures. But the problem comes when it's official documents, like for a visa or at the airport. And sometimes I'm tired, jet lag, and I put a smiley face on the customs declaration. I thought, oh no, I'm going to get into trouble for this. Very good. Okay. Oops, a bit too pointed. Have you got a cat at home? Okay.
I wanted to have a cat.
Oh yeah. Some cats are amazing. They're very smart. There you go.
Something more natural.
That is natural. Do you ever see me do anything else? Very good.
Maybe look that way.
What's this for? A poster or something?
I don't know. We just don't have enough good picture.
What do you mean good? This is good.
High resolution.
Yeah, but people would not actually figure out this is Ajahn Brahm unless it was smiling with a teddy bear.
Thank you.
Very good, yes. Very good.
Natural.
This is natural. If I frown, it'd be totally unnatural. Very good. Very good. And your pen. Wow, that was a very quick toilet break. Is anyone missing? Doesn't matter. Okay. Whatever is suitable for you. I'll put that in his basket. Very happy in there. Okay, so let's do a loving kindness meditation now. Just to introduce the loving kindness meditation, it is an opportunity where we start with loving kindness on easy objects, and then we build it to more difficult objects little by little. Just the same way you light a fire with paper or with fire lighters, something which very easily takes a flame. You don't take a match and put it on a wet sappy log. So instead, you light like a piece of paper and you get little small pieces of wood, and then you put those on, and then bigger pieces of wood. You increase the size of the wood little by little until you can put on logs. And once you've got a few logs on, then you can put on wet logs. You can see the steam coming off them. And they also take the fire. And then even the most difficult pieces of wood you can put on there, and they take the fire as well. So once there's enough heat and energy in that fire, then of course you can burn anything. So once there's enough energy of loving kindness in your heart, it's amazing just what you can actually give loving kindness towards. People you thought was impossible, but you've got such kindness, such love, it's just really built up. Wow. Oh, why not? And you can. So anyway, we start with the simple objects, but before we even start with the simple objects, we've got to get ourselves comfortable. So sitting down, relaxing to the max. As we bring our attention to our body. This old vehicle, which may be well used, a bit achy, a few pains, but it's what we have, and it's amazing what we can do, with your old body. So I look at my legs first of all, making sure they're reasonably comfortable. I don't want to get disturbed during the meditation by an ache or a pain, or my legs going to sleep. So I really put some attention and care into how I'm sitting. And it's not the same position every time. Today I'm sitting with my legs crossed like this, and this seems to be the best this afternoon. It may not be the same tomorrow. And if you're sitting on a chair, again, and push your legs away from the chair, towards the chair, push them apart, until you can find the best position. And if the chair is too high, then you put the cushion underneath your feet. If it's too low, you put a cushion underneath your bottom. See, that's how we adjust the seat's height, so it's comfortable for you. So I really just spend some time. I don't assume that my legs are in the best position at the beginning, because too many times I've been hurt because I've assumed the legs are fine, and during the middle of the meditation I have to change them around because I was not careful enough. And then I check my butt, because sometimes if that is not in a good position, it gets sore. Then I check my back to make sure that that is in a good position. And if you're on a chair, you can lean back if you wish. You can lean forward. You can do the straight back, which I usually prefer. But anyway, that's just me. And I feel that back, it's well balanced, it's in a position I can hold without effort for the time required for the meditation. Relaxing my shoulders, moving them around until they feel really good. Preparation, so important. If you go on a car journey, you have to make sure you've got the petrol, there's enough air in the tires, enough oil, that everything is just there ready for you. And if everything is set up, then you can have a very safe, enjoyable journey in meditation. Check my hands, that they're in a good position. My neck is comfortable, so I usually move my head around and until my head is properly balanced. And then relaxing the muscles around my eyes and my mouth. And I can use the mindfulness, the awareness, just to know that these eyes are relaxed. There's no tension on my forehead. And the mouth is also at ease, relaxed, at peace. Because when those muscles relax, so does much of that emotional world of anxiety, fear, tiredness, which you can read on a person's face. Because the muscles are so arranged that you can tell that a person's not peaceful. So I start with the muscles on the face and I make them peaceful, relaxed. And that works back like reverse engineering on the emotional world. So I start really relaxed. If I can't be kind to my own body, how on earth am I going to even start loving kindness meditation to all beings? So I start with my body. Until I can feel that my body is relaxed to the max. I just can't get it more relaxed than this at this moment. And I have this perception of the whole body sitting here. The best I could possibly make it. Ready for meditation. And then in this meditation on loving kindness, I start to use visualization. I imagine an animal or a person or even a teddy bear or a flower in a pot, anything which you find an affinity for, which you can so easily generate feelings of loving kindness and warmth and kindness and protection. And for me, I usually use a little kitten. I do have an affinity for cats, especially little cats, kittens. And I just visualize this little kitten, another little kitten, who's hiding in some crevice, some dark corner of our world. This little kitten who's been abandoned by her mother, who has no protection. And when I first meet this abandoned, terrified little being, all I hear is this such a sad cry of desperation, fear, with a tiny little bit of hope. As I pass by, this little kitten can maybe feel this big human being, maybe, just maybe, be kind to her. And that little plaintive, sad cry from this little kitten, I look and see these two eyes peering from the darkness. They are cat's eyes, kitten's eyes. And as I see them, I can see the fear, the terror, and the pain in its eyes. Eye-to-eye contact conveys so many details, so much information of emotions. We always say the eyes are the window into a person's soul. Here the eyes of the cat, the window into its hope and fears. This little cat has trusted people and just been hurt and wounded, and has retreated in the only safe place it can find, a dark, cold, lonely corner, where it knows it can't survive by itself. It needs food and protection and sustenance. When I see those eyes, I can't go past them. Dear little kitten, please trust me. I will care for you. I will find you things to eat, to protect you, to nurture you when you're in such a weak state where you are so fragile and you cannot look after yourself. You're a small little being, newly come into this world. You deserve more than fear and violence. So I start to develop feelings of empathy and protection and kindness and warmth towards this terrified little being. And I convey my own feelings, just like I look into the eyes of the kitten and can see its pain. It looks into my eyes and sees trust and caring. This little head just comes a few centimeters out of the darkness and see more of this head. Little kitten, please let me care for you. I open the door of my heart to you. Please come in. I won't harm you or hurt you. I will nurture you, be your friend, companion, enjoy. I won't control you. You're a little kitten, a cat. You'll be able to go out and do cat things. But I care for you. And I put out my hand. The little kitten sees it as it comes closer and closer to its body. Just out of past experience, the little kitten retracts into the darkness a little bit more. Still doesn't trust me. Who would? When you've only met disappointment and pain from every being you've trusted so far in your life. But I keep spreading that loving kindness. Dear little kitten, I would never harm or hurt you in any which way. And I give me the opportunity to give to you, to care for you. It's part of my life. You will be part of my life. The caring without controlling. To look after you by setting you free. And somehow or other, that little kitten lets me touch her. And I'm shocked at what I touch. Cat's furs, kitten furs are just usually so clean. This one is all dirty. And I can feel, I have to be very soft and gentle. Feel little scabs of blood. That cat has been wounded and scratched and bitten. And I can feel her bones. And just hardly any flesh on her. She must be so hungry. Hasn't eaten for I don't know how long. And so with such gentleness, the maximum gentleness which I can possibly muster, I put my hand under it and pick up this ball of bones covered with fur. I know it must hurt, but this is what I need to do to protect and take the hurt away. The cuts may still be raw, the bruises may still be tender. The little kitten lets me pick her up. Always keep that eye contact. Little kitten, I really care for you. I'm a big fellow, but I'm going to be so soft, caring and gentle. I start to feel these emotions of protection and care, kindness, compassion, love, just coming out, just bathing this little being, this kitten, and giving it a sense of safety. Maybe this big monk, maybe the one who will care for me, who will heal my pain, and let me live a life of comfort and peace like any other being in this great planet Earth. I pick her up and bring her to my chest and warm her body with my warmth, holding her and just restraining my disgust at just how this little being has been treated. You can see the cuts and the bruises and the scabs. And poor little kitten, the beginning of its life has been so hard, and that she trusts me is just miraculous. When I hold her, dear little kitten, you do have a protector, a friend. I will find lots of milk for you to drink, lots of the best cat food. I'm going to feed you until you're as fat as me, until you're as happy and jolly, until you're a cat who has overcome its fear of others. Dear little kitten, the door of my heart is open. You're my friend. I will care and protect you. And as I hold this little kitten next to my chest, I feel this warmth, this tingle, coming in from my heart region, through the skin of my chest, and into that little kitten. Is what I recognized as the power, the radiation of loving kindness. It's how I visualize it and how I develop it. This golden glow, like a beam of light, like from a lighthouse, but now it's coming from my chest and into the kitten, bathing her to her tail, to the edges of her whiskers, her little paws which are tucked up under her belly. This little kitten has got her eyes closed. She's resting, sleeping, maybe for the first time in days. She feels safe. She trusts me. And I even imagine that I'm hearing some purring from this little kitten. Even though she must be hungry and in pain, still she's known some love, some care for the first time, and that she's delighting in. The food, the cleaning, the healing, that will come later. She knows that. Now, she knows she is safe, protected. There's this light going through my chest, goes right into this kitten from the tail to the nose to the tip of the ears, warming, healing, and I notice the more of this beautiful loving kindness I give, the more I have to give, the more powerful it becomes. This giving to another never diminishes the power of your love and care. It just makes it stronger. As I blast and zap this little kitten with as much love and care and blessings as I possibly can manage, all over, right inside over our skin, and just imagine that just even that much gives so much healing and peace and satisfaction. Dear little kitten, I care for you. Even you're only imaginary, I really care. And I feel the power of such love. I've lit the fire on an imaginary being. So now I replace the image with a real being, a good friend, a partner, a lover, a child, or even your own little dog or a cat back home anywhere. The person who is closest to you in this life. You imagine them sitting or standing right in front of you. They are fragile like the little kitten. They may be mature in years, but they also get hurt so easily. They get in pain, even though they may not show it. They're afraid. They hurt. They're also in need of your love and kindness and friendship to be expressed. You look at your closest associate in this life. Imagine them standing right in front of you. My dear friend, my close relation, my lover, my partner, my child, my mother, wherever it happens to be. I care for you. Sincerely. I know I need your support as you need mine. The world would be just so much more difficult without you. So you have my love, my trust. Is there anything I can do to be of service, to help? I sincerely give that to you. Is there anything I've done which has hurt you? I'm sorry, I'm a human being with so many faults. But my dearest friend, I care. You imagine this golden light of loving kindness coming again through the skin above your heart region. Like a golden light, a ray of power, of healing, of reassurance, of encouragement going into their body, through their chest, and going up to their heads, to their ears, their mouth, to the arms and the tip of their fingers, down their body, down their legs, into their toes, and this energy of kindness and love going right through their inner parts of their body. They may be sick, may have cancers or diseases. You're zapping them with your golden light of loving kindness. I truly care for you, my best friend, my closest associate, my Kalyana Mitta, if you want to call it that, the noble friends, as the Buddha said. May you be happy and well. May you know that I'm thinking about you and caring about you right now. May you realize just how much I can give and share and heal and accept and embrace. Whoever you are, you're not alone in this journey through this world. I'm by your side, even though I may be thousands of miles away. I care for you. And that's sincere. And now you can imagine that power of that loving kindness getting stronger. And now, without opening your eyes, imagine all the people in this room, all the people you've shared the last 7, 8 days with, fellow travelers on the path. Some you may think are way ahead of you, some way behind, but that doesn't matter one bit. as you spread this loving kindness towards every being in this hall. They need it as you need it. They hurt and get disappointed as you get hurt and disappointed. They are fragile, physically and sometimes emotionally. They hear the wrong thing, or at least what they believe is the wrong thing. And they cringe. They get wounded. They too need that healing. So may all the beings in this room care for one another. Forgive one another any misunderstandings or even intentional harm. We're all fallible. We make mistakes. But now, our loving kindness, our care, our compassion is so much more powerful than any enmity. As you say to everybody in this room, I care for you. May you be happy and well and free from sickness. May you not judge so harshly yourself or others. There's a place for each one of us in the forest, no matter how twisted and bent or wounded that tree is. You belong. As you give this beautiful acceptance, unconditional, unjudging, undifferentiated, like the sun shines on all beings, the good, the bad. May all beings be happy and well in this room. I care for you as this golden light comes from your heart, goes into everybody else's heart, from their hearts back to yours and around and embracing the beautiful energy of loving kindness, of metta, which doesn't judge, like a mother loves her only child. Even though the child screams at night and you change its nappies, you still love your child. You always will. I care for you. You love everybody in this room with unconditional kindness, which asks nothing back for you, which just gives. May all beings in this room be at peace, be healthy, be free, knowing you are loved. As this loving kindness goes much further, when the intensity builds, it goes way through this room. The walls and the roof cannot contain it. It goes to all the animals, the birds outside, the kangaroos, to all the workers and the people who've cooked food for you, with even the little ants on the ground. May all beings, the birds, the kangaroos, may all beings in this compound know that they're cared for. Because we care for you. There's a loving kindness, this golden glow coming from this room. This spreads like a blanket over this retreat center. Healing, caring, forgiving. As it goes further, spreading over to Bodhinyana Monastery, over the other direction to the prison farm, there's many wounded people who've wounded others. Know that we care for you. The door of our hearts open. You made mistakes, but they're forgivable. Go beyond those and see the beauty which is way beyond whatever reason you hurt other beings. As this loving kindness goes even further, way over to the city of Perth, to the airport where you go to tomorrow, way down south, the monastery we're building over in Albany, north to the nuns' monastery, our city centre, the whole area, and you notice the more you give, the more you spread loving kindness, the stronger it gets. As you spend your care for all beings today. Further afield, as it goes to the east coast of Australia, up to the neighbors in Indonesia, the many islands where your lovers and friends and family members, your parents and associates are. Further up to Malaysia and Singapore, to Thailand and Vietnam, and further to China and Hong Kong. All the people who miss you are waiting for your return. All those people, and you have a gift for them. What did you bring me from Australia? You send it in advance. Kindness, care, forgiveness, love. All the people who are sick, your mothers who are just really, really just suffering, fathers, friends, associates. You imagine them and you zap them. It's the only word I can have. Use the intense energy of loving kindness. May my loved ones be free of pain. Have fearlessness, recovery and peace. Even a few more years of life, if you want, because we care for you. My energy is your energy. As this loving kindness goes even further, until it spreads over the whole world, this whole planet Earth, this blue dot in the sky of the universe, where so many of your dreams and hopes and fears and your experiences and your people you love and care for, people you're afraid of, but you find you can love them unconditionally. May all beings on planet Earth be happy and well. I give you my forgiveness and my encouragement. May you trust yourself. Trust the goodness, the purity in your heart. This loving kindness goes further and further and further. And amongst all those beings in this world, there are some people who have really hurt you, who've let you down, who've caused you terrible pain. You have a choice to be a victim or a victor. Give them loving kindness. You don't know why they did that, but forgive them. Be kind, so they never feel they need to do that ever again. As you give kindness, beautiful, loving kindness, which no one can resist once it's strong. And then you imagine, remember, there's one person you've left out. You've given loving kindness to the whole world. But now you imagine yourself, you, this person you've been living with for such a long time. The first person you meet when you wake up in the morning, still got your eyes closed. The last person you say goodnight to when you go to sleep. Even if you're married and your partner's right next to you. You. This person that we hardly know. And how can we judge others when few of us really know ourselves? Me. We're so hard and judgmental on ourselves sometimes. Actually, quite often. And so you give yourself, imagine a reflection of you right in front of you. And say, me. I really care for me. I wish myself to be healed. I am so similar to that cat who's abandoned many times, who feels so alone and hurt and doesn't know who to trust, who gets wounded, and many of those wounds haven't been healed yet. I care for me. May the door of my heart be open to all I am or will be. This beautiful self-acceptance, kindness and love comes into your heart. I will have the courage to care for me. And not just sacrifice myself for others. Because when I'm weak and tired and sick, how can I help anyone? So I heal myself, I care for myself, I let myself be this unique being. No one else like me in the whole universe, and I don't need to be anyone different. When I love myself, when I care for myself, when I accept myself, then I know how to love others. May I be free, at peace, enlightened. Wish yourself the best. It's what you spread to all other beings, you now spread towards yourself. Beautiful tingling energy. Energy of kindness, love, forgiveness, healing, going right up your body to the tip of your head, down to your toes, the tips of your fingers, all over, as you feel the energy of loving kindness. I'm just going to pause for a minute to let you feel the power of self-love, which does not make you arrogant, but which makes you at peace. And now, to bring a beautiful conclusion to this meditation, you imagine that golden blanket of loving kindness which is spread all over the world. Leave the warmth out there, the care. As you start to retract, bring that light, bring it in as it contracts and comes into Australia, into Serpentine, into this retreat center, into your heart, until it becomes like a golden ball of intense loving kindness energy. And you imagine leaving the warmth outside, just the light being back. And you imagine it just hovering as this golden intense ball, like a nimitta of loving kindness, over your heart, which you imagine as the purest of white lotuses, fully open. And slowly let the petals of that lotus close to protect that beautiful seed of loving kindness, of compassion, of forgiveness. As the petals close, keeping that for use at another time, another place, to seed the fire of loving kindness in your own heart. Now conclude. Keep your eyes closed for another minute or two as I conclude with the final blessing. Sabba Buddhanubhavena Sabba Dhammanubhavena Sabba Sankhanubhavena Buddha Ratanang Dhamma Ratanang Sangha Ratanang Tinang Ratananang Anubhavena Chaturasiti Sahasa Dhamma Kandhanubhavena Pitaka Sayanubhavena Jina Savakanubhavena Sabete Voga Sabete Baya Sabete Antaraya Sabete Upadawa Sabete Dunimita Sabete Awamangala Vinasantu Ayuwadako Dhanavadako Siriwadako Yasawadako Balawadako Vanawadako Sukhawadako Otu Sabada Dukkha Voga Vaya Vera Sukha Satuchupadawa Aneka Antaraya Piwinasantu Chateja Sajaya Siddhi Danang Labang Soti Bhagayang Sukhang Balang Siriayu Chawano Chabokang Woody Chayasawa Satawa Sacha Ayu Chajiva Siddhi Bhavantu-te. You may now open your eyes. The loving kindness meditation has concluded. Ooh. Hope that wasn't too long for you, but I really get into this, so I indulge, so please forgive me if I indulged. Beautiful loving kindness meditation. Okay, it's 4:45. Ooh, where did the time go? So, those of you who want to just get up and, I don't know what we're supposed to be doing, maybe you have your tea and stuff at 5 o'clock. Carry on meditating, go to the toilets, whatever. I will be going back to the monastery to check out everything for tomorrow. And again for this evening, you'll notice many of the tables have disappeared. The monks have taken them over there because we need all the tables for many people, many of the chairs. So I'm sure you can manage to find a way of chairs here, chairs there, and even just you can take the tea or whatever, or the breakfast up into your rooms. Even in the rooms they have toasters and stuff and kettles, so I'm sure it can be done just for tomorrow morning. When you do go to the monastery tomorrow, it will be chaos. I don't know how it happens. Buddhist ceremonies are always chaotic. But it always happens and it works okay. That's one of the beautiful parts. I always tell people, if you don't like organized religions, come to a Buddhist monastery on a festival day. It's totally disorganized. But it works. Excellent. So, sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Hee 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 hee. Excellent. Okay, so I will just go up to the in front of the little office for a little while before I go back to Bodhinyana Monastery. More offerings? Yeah, shall we come up here or shall we go over there? Where's a good place? Yeah, okay, can do, yeah. Come on then.